sure whenever you go on social media, you see all those memes about introverts. And it's usually some cartoon character cowering in their bed, in their apartment or home, and they never go out because they're so afraid of people. Hey guys, my name is Keisha Rice, and I'm the pre wife coach. So I help single professional women learn how to get clear on what they really want out of relationships, set boundaries, and attract the perfect match for them. And in today's episode of Relate, I am talking with a friend of mine. Her name is Sophia White, and she is one of the leaders of a group, a movement called Introverted Girlfriends. And it's a safe space for introverted women to get together, to make friends, and to step out of their comfort zone a little bit. So she and I talked about what an introvert is and is not, and how being an introvert affects her dating life. So this was such a great conversation. I hope you'll enjoy it.
Hey guys, welcome to Relate. I am Keisha Rice, and joining me today is one of my friends, Sophia. And before we get into why we're talking to her, I think it was a meme maybe on Facebook one day that introverts don't make friends. They get adopted by extroverts. So Sophia was adopted by me.
Very true.
We met a couple of years ago when I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that brings us to our topic, how do introverts make friends? Because Sophia is she's one of the leaders in a group called Introverted Girlfriends. So Sophia, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Introverted Girlfriends is a female group for introverts. It was actually started by my business partner and friend, a woman by the name of Janaea. So Janaea was a new girl in a new city. She had just moved from New York City to Charlotte, North Carolina. And she had no friends. She just was very lonely. So she joined something called Meetup. So
Yeah.
when she joined Meetup, are you familiar with it?
Yes,
So
very familiar with Meetup.
Okay, great. It groups people based on their interests, like cooking, exercising, working out, and then you meet up. So she attended a few of these meetups and she was just overwhelmed by how large it was. And she was like just getting lost in the mix. And she was like, I know. Why don't I create a female introverted group with the premise that we're going to get together in very, very small groups. So the group took off and she ended up moving. I took over the Charlotte group and she moved to Raleigh and started a new group in Raleigh. And we got together a year later and she was like, the Raleigh group is really taking off and I see the Charlotte group is really taking off. Why don't we come together? Figure out why this works, bottle it up, and think of some ways of expanding it. So
Right.
Now we are in 6 cities and we have the virtual group. And it's a group of female introverted women. It's called Introverted Girlfriends.
And it's funny when you talk about Meetup because I've definitely had the experience on the other side. I go to Meetup groups and again, I end up adopting everyone that I see in a corner by themselves.
That is so funny. That's so funny.
My mom always jokes that I've never met a stranger, so that's just my...
Say that you are a real extrovert, real introvert, so it works out really well.
Yeah, so tell me, like, in general, how's the experience when you are introverted, just trying to meet new people? You moved from Charlotte not too long ago. So when you're in a new city, when you're in a new setting, what are some of the big challenges you face?
I would definitely say some of the challenges that I face being an introvert. I'm sure that you've seen the meme like introverts don't like people, we're peopling, don't be around us, we just want to be alone. And it's not that we just are loners and we want to be alone, it's that we really gain our energy from very quiet stimulation, maybe alone time, things like reflecting, being in the house by ourselves, journaling, hiking, and things like that. And that doesn't really lend itself to making and meeting new people. So one of the things that I have to do is set goals because it's something that's not very comfortable for me. So I will set goals like I'm going to attend a few networking events and I will meet 1 to 2 new people. So though it's not something that's like my go-to or my default, I kind of overcome it by setting goals for myself.
So back to Introverted Girlfriends, tell me about some of the things that you guys do, some of the activities.
Oh, yeah, we do any and everything. The premise of the group is that when you attend our group, you will never be hit with more than about 15 people. So we try to keep the groups very, very small. And we do things from getting together in brunches, going out on a Friday night, getting together for dinner. We attend workout events together. We go hiking. We really do any and everything. But the premise is we try to keep the group relatively small so that we can make those meaningful connections and introverts aren't overwhelmed by just like the large group that you would be hit with like at a networking event.
Right. And you and I joked about this before the interview. I was like, so how does this Introverted Girlfriends thing work? Is there an extrovert behind the scenes getting you guys together? So how do you deal with like stepping into that leadership role as someone who's an introvert?
That is a really, really good question, because what you will find is introversion can be on a spectrum. So you will have women in our group that are on the far end and they deal with social anxiety. So something like getting out of the house can be very intimidating for them. And then you'll have somebody that, like me, like I enjoy getting to know people, but I also like my alone time. So I would say that it works well for me. And a lot of the women who are event organizers for us, which are people who host the events, they're introverts who deal with the needing the time to recharge and be alone, but they really don't have an issue meeting people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think that is, you and I joke about it, but I do think that is an important distinction to make, that, right, despite all the memes you see, there aren't introverts balled up in a corner someplace crying at the thought of going out. Right. Introverts have friends. But I think a lot of people hear that word introvert and they're just a little bit intimidated, or they're afraid about, okay, how can I approach her? Is she going to be okay? Especially with someone like me, because there are times that I can be a little loud and I can be a little extra, and I'm like, let's do all of the things, and I have to keep in mind that some people can't go like that.
Right. Very valid point.
So how do you deal with friends who are more extroverted, and like, how do you make it clear to them, like, girl, I love you, but
So typically what you will find with most introverted people, we don't really have a problem in that interaction, but it's not something that fuels us. So after maybe spending an hour or two with somebody that's very extroverted, I may just need a whole 24 hours to just be by myself. And that's why you'll see, like, if you're in our Facebook virtual group, you'll see like some of the memes, and some of the people say things like, I just spent a day at a party or a cookout, and now I'm at home, I'm alone, I'm by myself, the door is closed, I'm Netflixing and chilling. So it's not really that, we're like, oh, get away from me in that moment, but versus an extrovert who that might fuel or like recharge, for us, it's like we're gonna get drained by that, and we're gonna need the time to be by ourselves after that interaction.
Right. So how is dating as an introvert?
Dating as an introvert. So I would definitely say that it has its pros and its cons, it's good and it's bad. And I guess I'll start with the bad so I can leave you on a positive note.
Right.
One of the things that is very difficult about being an introvert and dating is we can be very hard to read, especially if we're really interested in people. because introverts, we tend to like to think a lot before we
Right.
speak, and verbal expression is not something that can be very comfortable for us. So if I just meet someone and I'm really, really feeling them in the beginning, I may not even, first of all, know if I'm feeling them like that. So I may need to take a couple days away and kind of reflect, like, am I feeling them? Is this someone that I can potentially see myself with? And then once I get to the point, like, okay, I like them. Now it's like, how do I let them know that? Like,
Right.
how do I tell them that? I cannot just see myself saying, I'm feeling you. I like you. So what I would advise.
Don't you miss the days of like, do you like me? Check yes or no.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like, so I don't think anything is wrong with like writing your thoughts out, sending a text message, especially if you're not comfortable with that person. What you will find, like, a lot of introverts are really good poets and they're really good writers. So I would advise anyone in my situation, it's nothing wrong with writing it out until you are comfortable enough expressing it verbally. So that is definitely a challenge, just expressing our thoughts. Another thing that is kind of on the bad side is introverts, we tend to be very private, and it can come across as being very closed off. So somebody might take that personally, like, why don't you ever talk about that? Or why do you keep that part of yourself? Why do you keep that so secretive? Or why don't you at me on Facebook? Why don't you follow me back? Stuff like that. Are you hiding me? And it's not that I'm hiding you or the introvert is hiding you. It's just that we are very private, and it's like an onion. You got to kind of unpeel us and, get to know us in phases. So I would say those two things are probably like two of the disadvantages, but just with anything, finding somebody that's patient with you is going to work out. I can give you now some good things about dating as an introvert. I would say that we're very self-aware. Since we spend a lot of our time alone, like, we know ourselves. I know what I like. I know what I dislike. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. And I am comfortable with that. Another sort of positive is you would typically not find an introvert that is very clingy. We need our space. So if there's a guy I'm dating, he's like, we went to a great date on a Friday, but now I want to spend some time with my boys. I'm not the person that's like, oh, can I come too? Or, are you sure you're going?
That's great. I need a nap.
I'm like, okay, I need my space too. This is good for me. So typically you will find like we're not very clingy. Finally, like, another positive is we don't do a lot of talking, but we're very good listeners. So that means that we are very observant. So we're going to see those little things about you that nobody else sees, and we're going to be able to celebrate that.
Yeah. And, I will say from personal experience, I'm engaged, and my fiance is very introverted, which is kind of funny because
Can you relate to any of the things that I said?
Yeah, so I definitely understand the privacy part. Like, if you look at my social media, I actually did a recent episode on this, the fact that I don't post him very often because he doesn't like to be out there on social media. So when I do post a picture of him, like, I ask him, hey, do you mind if I put this out there? And you're right, he's also a great listener, and because I can be a little go, let's do all the things, let's get out there, let's meet 50 million people today. He he keeps me calmer. He helps me like slow down a little bit. He helps me realize when I need a nap. So yeah, there are definitely some positives to that. And I think it has helped me become a little bit more self-aware too, because I tend to be very in head, out mouth. So
you find in the beginning that he was very difficult to read? Because I get that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, still, occasionally.
Yeah.
And that just comes with communication. And, going back to you, one of the things that you were saying about being able to be self-aware and know what you want and what you don't want. Like, I will say that's one of the things that I admire about you is that, you know, yeah, that you like that you are great at expressing what you want and what you don't want. And, you know, being a life coach and helping other women with relationships, setting boundaries is so important. I think a lot of people don't realize just how important it is to be able to verbalize to other people, this is what I need.
Very important.
Okay. So, Sophia, wrapping it up, any advice both for introverts and for extroverts in helping the two relate to each other?
Very, very, very good question. So my advice to extroverts is to understand that we're not stuck up, we're not shy, we do not dislike people. We just really value our alone time. So, you know, if you spend a Friday night with me and I'm telling you like Saturday, I'm just not up for it. Just really understand that. Do not take it personally. It's just something that I need to have to make me a better person. And to my introverts out there, like I see it in our virtual Facebook groups all the time. Like I just want to sit in my house in my PJs and Netflix and chill all day long. Just do not let life pass you by. You know, that can be okay every now and then. But I feel that introverts and extroverts, we work really well together. So don't get stuck in all of those things that make you who you are to the point where you're just always Netflixing and chilling every day. I would also say another word of advice to introverts, like think about your strengths. Like I was discussing with the dating, being very self-aware, being a very good listener, being observant, and really building upon your strengths. And then look at those areas that may not be your strengths, such as expressing yourself, and work on that. You know, don't get stuck in a rut. Oh, I'm an introvert, so we don't talk, so I'm never going to talk. No, put yourself in situations where you do have to communicate and you do have to express your feelings. So I would say build upon your strengths because you do have them, but also work on those things that may not be an area where you feel very strong in.
Yeah, I think that is great advice. And, you know, I think for people who get hung up on labels and introvert versus extrovert and all that, we do coexist. You and I are proof. And, you know, I love Sophia to death. She is
I love you too.
she's one of the most fun people I know. And, you know, she is a great listener and she is great to talk to. And, you know, in addition to her, in addition to my fiance, I have a lot of introverts in my life, and it is great. Sophia, thanks for talking with me today. And guys, have any ideas for other topics? Let me know. We'll see you later.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. I love doing this series because it's been such a great opportunity to get to know the women in my circle even better. And I will talk to you guys soon, but I hope that in the meantime, these conversations will encourage you to have a coffee date or have lunch with one of the women in your life and see what you can learn about them that's new. Bye.